Per usual, everyone, this channel is for educational purposes only and is not intended as financial advice. It's Setup Sunday. Let's take a look at some charts here for the week. The good news is we're clearly in a little bit of a short-term bearish lean. I think 115 is a good level for BTC. We'll take a look. We have legacy roofing. We have metals roofing. We have liquidity roofing. I think we'll continue to see a high in Q4. We have seasonality on our side. We've very much not had anything on our side here. So when the pendulum is very obviously swinging in one direction, it makes it easier to spot if and when things move towards the bullish side of the equation. So we had BTC ETF flows negative 900 million last week. We had ETH negative 800 million last week. And I think it's also important to note for alts, what we've seen historically, BTC runs first, alts follow, just as gold runs first, BTC follows. So to pre-position into ETH here probably doesn't make too much sense. I'll lay out my case. I think if you're listening to this channel, you had a pretty good key in on the ETH trade. Many of the subscribers took the trade. I took the trade. I took the gold trade. Hadn't traded gold in God knows how long, right? My point is you don't have to like pre-position for some idea if you're looking at this stuff even once a week. If and when we get flows back in BTC and ETH, you'll know, right? You'll know day by day. You'll see it. If we're looking at September return, most of the time it's just junk, positive or negative. It's junk. October, most of the time it's positive, and most of the time when it's positive, it's very positive. We've never seen a positive September and a negative October. Will this be the time? I guess. Okay, 2013. No, that's the opposite. Negative and positive. We could still close negative this month. So seasonality is certainly on our side. I don't care if everybody is looking at it. Everybody's always looking at it. Every day of the year, every week of the year, every month of the year. Everyone's always looking at seasonality. It's not out of consensus or in consensus. It just doesn't matter. Historically, ETH had done better the first half of the year. That's switched post ETFs. So maybe we will see ETH have a really good November, for example. It may have a mediocre October, not negative, but mediocre. And then an extremely positive catch up in November. If I had to guess, if I had to make the trade today, that's what I would expect it to be. Q4 for ETH has been mixed with positive and tends to bleed into Q1, Q2. Whereas BTC, for the most part, has been more positive in Q4. But now, you're listening to an old head who's been around since a long time ago, and seasonality can shift and change, and it certainly has, favoring Q1 a little bit more than historically. Pre-COVID, it was kind of disaster. All that being said, it is a tailwind. Whether or not we'll see any motion off that, let's take a look. We got a couple months left here, end of the year. Liquidity, also a tailwind. We are lagging liquidity. I don't care. You can say it's 75 days, 150 days, 200 days, whatever. Doesn't matter. Liquidity's going higher. Gold sees it. Silver certainly sees it. Palladium looks to be ready to see it. And equities certainly see it. This chart's a few hours old. I think BTC's closer to 112 now, but it's going to be interesting if and when we do see a slowdown here in gold. We don't have a fractal breach yet. We have a bear div though, a little tiny bear div. Would love to see another higher high here. Would love to see this div grow a little bit. It's going to be very, very interesting if on the day on the week that gold slows down, BTC breaks 115, breaks 120. That would be ideal. If I had to draw something up, it would be boom, gold slows down, rotated from gold, BTC, away we go, 130, 140, 150, whatever, into the end of the year. Then boom, ETH gets a bullish DK recross price above cloud in November. There's another trade, and then some other stuff happens in December, January, whatever, right? That is the dream. Instead of one trade, it's 6 trades. It's 10 trades. Instead of one trade a quarter, it's 4 trades a quarter. That's where you want to live if you're trading this. Now, most people aren't really trading. They're just picking what they like based on whatever and going with it. That's fine. But gold looks great here still. A little bearish divergence-ish isn't going to stop this anytime super soon. BTC versus gold is certainly a problem. And this is kind of the theme on BTC in general. It has both a bull case and a bear case based on technicals. We could say, okay, this is kind of a head and shoulders starting here. Now, the take action moment isn't until we breach the neckline, which would be a diagonal neckline And anything below 24, whatever that multiple is, that would be the take action level based on the pattern. You could say the same is true for the take action level on any inverted head and shoulders cup and handle on this ratio. This would be BTC gaining strength against gold. This is gold gaining strength against BTC. And we're currently just stuck in a zone. But anything above a 35, very favorable for BTC. But still hasn't gone anywhere since 2021. So for the people saying or thinking that, oh, BTC is at 112, 110, it's so overbought, it's this forever rally that's just up, 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 up. Well, if you compare it to real money, real stuff that isn't fiat, it still hasn't even broken out yet, which is wild to say. Now, this could fail, this could go nowhere, right? But I think it's important to note, if this does break 35, if this does break up again, it has a decent move left in it. Maybe a doubling. That's what this is sort of calling out from that level. Here's BTC against silver. Silver is parabolic. It's at all-time highs. Pre-ETFs, silver led BTC. Post-ETFs, BTC is clearly leading, which makes more sense. I mean, it has more action generally with BlackRock and whatnot. But in the moment, silver certainly leading. So again, if I'm stacking all this up and I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to be betting on based on the available information today? Is more information bearish or bullish? Are like assets moving higher or lower? Are they moving higher or lower fast or slow? Are they in breakout mode or not, right? So to me, the way this lines up still is very favorable for a move higher for BTC. The problem is we're just not seeing it on the chart. Here's gold on the monthly, just wild. It had this inverted head and shoulders down here that many, many people have pointed out. It's generally just super, super volatile, but finally kicking in on the afterburners there. Maybe this whole thing is a cup and handle. If that's the case, this is going to hit like 2,000, right? Like, it's just the target here is massive. BTC is still in its own pitchfork channel. And it also has this case to be made. We could say, okay, this is maybe a head and shoulders here. I don't think it's a strong case, but I don't think you can just ignore it and hand wave it and say, no, it's not there. We certainly don't want to make lower lows. It's that simple. If you're bullish, you're not making lower lows. And target's still 150, 130, 40, 50, whatever that is on the breakout. On the cloud, again, if you're bullish, you're not breaking the cloud, you're reclaiming this, you're getting a bullish GK recross, etc. Again, this is a little dated. I think it's 112-ish now, whatever. But if this week we make a new lower low, that is very bad. If we break the 20-week moving average, which I don't have on here, also very bearish. Regardless of expectations of everything moving up around us, for some reason, you just can't be bullish if we're breaking expected levels to the downside. It doesn't make any sense, right? You can say long term, I have XYZ expectation, but if you're trading this in the near term and it's going against you on leverage or it's going against you on options or whatever on MSCR, what good is that going to do you? Saying, oh man, the world's going to explode one day, BTC is going to be 1 million. Okay, like fine. Then your time horizon is way different than mine. But in the moment, this should not make a lower low if it's bullish, and it's really problematic if it does. So the line in the sand has been drawn. And if it makes a lower low, then it needs to reclaim from an even lower level, right, to get back to 115 or whatever for the bullish GK cross. And again, there's some sort of potential as I redraw the inverted head and shoulders from a flat neckline to a diagonal neckline. Maybe this is real, maybe it isn't, but it's very real if we get to 115 and hold it. And then it's very real if we get to 122 at the early pivot and hold that level. So this is a high possible based on everything around us, but ultimately we got to get there. We got to get to 115. There's also a weekly B-band squeeze that is the tightest we've ever been historically. It doesn't get any tighter than this. The last time it was this tight was July. Also interesting, we had this like pseudo head and shoulders here that looked better than it did now. It actually broke down, it attempted to, and then some BlackRock ETF news saved us. So yes, the vol sellers and the ETFs are helping push this down. But if you are truly bullish, you will shake it off. You will break higher. This is basically a coin flip here. We're at the midpoint. Nothing to really say or do. It's just whatever move we get off of this. The expectation based on the caliber of the squeeze here is a big, big move. Anytime B-bands on a high time frame get this tight, you typically get a very large move off of it. We do have a buyer. That white line there is BTC longs on Bitfinex, and they have jumped up again. This probably isn't one entity, but it's probably not many entities who are just swinging this amount of BTC around. And they've been buying quite a bit since July, but even more recently over the past couple of days, they've been buying again. It's going to be interesting if we get to their 70K level on their longs and if they have an appetite for more, depending on what price is, etc. But if they are refilling to that level, I'd imagine we attempt to push a little bit higher here. We also have Tether. White is the Tether price in USD, and purple is issuance. So Tether price has been trending above $1 since April. And since April, we have seen continuous Tether issuance, basically. The longer Tether stays above $1, the higher the demand. Could be crypto or otherwise, but more stable coins in the system is always bullish for BTC, bullish for alts. It's bullish for everybody. So what we want to see is Tether above $1 and more prints. It's that simple. Tons and tons of demand for Tether, clearly. And back to BTC, this ambiguity with, okay, is it bullish? Is it bearish? Is this still an inverted head and shoulders? Is this a cup and handle? Is this an inverse cup and handle back here? Is this falling wedge here? I see people drawing that. The issue is there's no clean anything. If we think about gold on the breakout, if I can find it, it was pretty clear. You know, there was a line. Everybody knew where that line, anybody in the world looking at this chart could have told you anything above 3,400 and it's go time. So when it gets ambiguous like it is now, it means the initial break is probably going to be less strong if we do break higher. If this does break down, it would represent a bearish edge to edge. It would be 57 on IBIT. Otherwise, you got 80, whatever. And if you just look at the risk reward for this, it might still be skewed higher, but not by much. And you can get more confident once we are back above the cloud there on IBIT. Now, MSTR, on the other hand, regardless of any feelings of bullishness on BTC, has not done well. It's kind of on its last leg here of being in its 2022 bull market pitchfork. It's interesting. It's taken the entirety of this year in this range. Nothing has really changed from the place where I care about it. Anything above 400, it's go time. Anything above the cloud, love it. Absolutely love it. I do not care. It is dead to me between 300 and 365. There's nothing here for me. Don't care, right? Next chart. It just is what it is. There's a yearly pivot there at 292. Certainly hope it holds. It's better for all of us if it does, but it certainly doesn't look strong. MSTR IBIT, very bearish, has been bearish for a while. Can this bounce? Sure. Is this a long for anybody paying attention with a half a brain? No, it just isn't. It just isn't. If this is a momentum trade, this is a leverage trade, it doesn't make sense to keep buying blood here, to me. It just doesn't. And if we look at Metaplanet, same deal. You could say, well, this is so oversold. It's down over 50% from the highs. This was very much a tax arb strategy in Japan. And a lot of that is deflating in the balloon right now. You had warnings up here, Adam and Eve. You had warnings, the cloud. Again, like the cloud is just great. The cloud's amazing. You had a breakout here, breakdown here. Would have saved you all this heartache from 1,000 to 500. So is it oversold? Probably. But until BTC can turn around, it doesn't really make sense for this leverage stuff to turn around. Hot data for BTC is neutral, flat, really nothing, right? So if we're trying to line up BTC specific bullish things, it's got to be, maybe this is an inverted head and shoulders. That's it. Above 115, this looks interesting. The AI cloud here, 15, 37, 40, 18 are the settings here. This is back tested on AI from pre-election to 2022. Has been decent. It's a faster cloud, but has been decent at picking out levels. Again, it's sort of saying, okay, 115, right? If you're bullish, let's see 115. That might happen tomorrow. I don't know, but that's the level. COT data is no help for BTC here. Now for ETH, I don't know a single thing in near-term technicals, maybe even midterm technicals, that are bullish here. COT data, literally the most bearish it could be. Don't care who it is, don't care what they're doing. The commercials, the red guys there, you want them on your side. They are not on your side if you're long here. AI cloud, which was only backtested on BTC, but is generally pretty good on everything, also telling you, party's over for now. For now. It's going to be very hard, most likely, for this to turn around. If we look at the validator queue, I know a lot of this is kiln. I know there's a lot of shenanigans here, but if I had to guess, if I was a betting man, which I am, I really doubt that until this validator queue comes down by quite a bit, you're going to see movement on ETH price. That's going to take some time. Here's the Crypto Cloud 2061, 2030 for ETH. And we are in the cloud. We're going to get a bearish tick across here. There was a head and shoulders that broke down. Probably doesn't go anywhere necessarily. Maybe you get 3,500. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just go sideways. But just like anything else, for me, using the cloud, these settings, daily, etc., it's not above the cloud. It's not for me. So you have two examples. There's a breakout. Here's a breakout here that's messy, but generally held above the cloud. That's go time for me. It is not go time for me here for ETH. It may take all of October. It may take us in November. I don't know. But it is not ETH's time in the moment. And what's the most interesting thing to me about ETH is the IWM correlation. IWM looks very bullish, continues to look bullish. ETH in the blue there generally has been very correlative with IWM since COVID. It has lost that correlation recently, but historically it has sort of snapped back eventually. So that's very bullish for ETH down the road, just as BTC relative to liquidity is eventually probably going to be bullish. I have an IWM chart eventually here, but the IWM COT is the exact opposite of ETH. It is the most bullish it could be. So the most bullish thing for ETH is actually IWM's COT data because of the correlations. Solana, I also got nothing. There's nothing to do here. I don't even know at this point what this chart would have to look like. This may be like a December trade, or it's just not for me. In my system, maybe this V bounces to 240 and then what, right? I don't know. This has been all over the place since July. I don't really have strong feelings on Sol whatsoever. And because a lot of people are asking me about this, because Mike Alfred is on the board, has been not necessarily activist, but he's in the mix here with BKKT. He said that management has changed hands. Historically, it has been a god-awful business. So me personally, I wouldn't buy it just on his recommendation. He's done very well on his recommendations. He knows how to pick them. I'll give him that. If this is above the cloud, this is kind of reminiscent of Rivian a little bit, kind of reminiscent of a lot of those ultra long-term post-COVID blowups, post-COVID darling blowups, in that this has really only been bearish on the 3-day ultra high time frame. It's been down only since 2021. Anything above 20, sure, love it. I don't think this is quite Wyckoff accumulation. I don't think it's quite necessarily anything. It's just kind of a bottomy mess down here. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be anything, but anything above 20, I like a lot. So that's where I have my alerts set. And my chart ordering is just all over the place. Here's Palladium making a weekly breakout W on the cloud. Kind of fits the theme here, right? With backed, it just doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, the fundamentals help for me, but I don't really care. What I really care about are the technicals. And it's the same thing with Palladium. Now, are people rotating from gold to Palladium? Maybe are they rotating from gold to silver miners, Palladium miners? I don't know, right? You can go deep down that rabbit hole. Rare earth metals also look good. REMX continues to move higher. So there's lots of stuff, again, that's just not crypto that's moving higher. SPY continues to hold levels, hold the channel. Really nothing else to say. It just continues to grind higher, right? And that's, at least it should be, very bullish eventually for BTC. The Q, same thing. It had a head and shoulders back here that it fought off and has continued to push higher. So really no problem whatsoever. If BTC or ETH look like this, or Sol, great, right? Nothing to do. You just sit back, take your 2% every other day. Thanks for playing. But that's not what they look. And here's the Russell chart. If we look at the commercials here, certainly leaning long. And if you're a believer in this whole thing being a inverted cup and handle, even more bullish for ETH. That's how ETH gets to 8K. If this actually plays out for the Russell, if this breaks the 4, ETH goes to 8, I think pretty easily. But commercial is very bullish there. As we continue to jump around, miners, WGMI, on the whole have pulled back a little bit. IREN a little weak, although some people think IREN's going to 2,000, which fine. If you're trading this on a nearer term level, maybe you're trading it around a little bit, maybe you're trimming a little bit, maybe you're trimming bit farms and rotating into something else, maybe you're trimming IREN and Cypher a little bit and rotating into something else. You're a believer in data centers taking over the world, maybe you just don't care, whatever. Based on the technicals, it certainly looks like we may be here on the index for a little while. That doesn't mean other things might not pull this up a little bit. Is Cores a better business than IREN? I don't know. I can't answer that. But what I will tell you is Cores has a chart pattern here that it hasn't broken out of yet, and it looks good. So if it gets a catalyst, if it gets a little dizzy here and goes higher, technicals are ready. if we do see that, I would expect it to outperform IREN, at least in the near term. Now, if we look at cores against IREN, it's quite devastating for cores, right? Like IREN has only gained significantly against cores. So I just like this because this is here and IREN is here, right? That's the only reason. And there's a lot to flow back potentially from one to the other. CleanSpark's another one, hasn't broken out yet. It does have this inverted head and shoulders. They are pivoting a little bit to data centers. Could certainly see a decent move higher. So for some people, they're going to love buying IREN, Cypher, and Bitfarms here. Great. Other people are going to be rotating a little bit, trimming a little bit, or just starting fresh positions on other miners that haven't moved, that are in the theme, that may get some rotation. That's how I think about it. Tesla, I think, probably has a little bit of room here. Again, you're going to get people saying, okay, this whole thing's a cup and handle, or this thing's going to 1,000, right? Like, yeah, that's possible. But if you're in it from 300, 320, like me, just give me the move here and I'm out. Thanks for playing. So I like that one for a little bit. And then lastly here on energy, of all the charts, I think PSX is still set up decently. This was either some sort of megaphone breaking up or inverted head and shoulders breaking up, has consolidated, made a higher high. So if you're looking for things to do, it's probably commodities, it's probably metals, it's probably smaller caps, it's probably not crypto. A lot of crypto just still ranging, really nothing to do. And I like BTC above 115 a lot. That would probably pull me out of a gold position. If we can close a daily above 115, it would pull me out of more of the gold position. If we got a bullish TK recross, I think that would pull me out of the full gold position. So those are my limits, my levels. Until then, probably just some chop until we can get something going here. That's all I have for this one. If you like, dislike, comment, share, subscribe, and happy trading.